This is the DirecTV Road to WrestleMania 29 blog. We are in the locker room area with Sheamus, the Celtic Warrior, at the Times Union Center for SmackDown. So last year you defeated Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship in 18 seconds. Can you tell us a little bit what you were thinking about when that happened, before the match, after the match?
Yeah, I've done a couple of interviews on this because it was kind of one of these moments that kind of shocked the world. But what happened was a couple of weeks before that, Daniel Bryan was doing everything he could to get disqualified and mess around with me. I know the last match, the tag match before, he used AJ's distraction to get to defeat me. Now I know you going into this match at WrestleMania 28 that this was an opportunity for me to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and a title I'd never won before, but also in the main event of WrestleMania. So he turned his back. The opportunity was there. I took it, and I kicked his head into the front row and became World Heavyweight Champion, and went straight to the bar with my family and enjoyed the rest of WrestleMania 28, which was brilliant.
So last night you were involved in a fatal four-way to take on The Undertaker.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that match a little bit, and how, if you were, I guess you weren't really prepared for it, or were you? Or
you always have to be prepared for matches,
right.
Especially last night, the fatal four-way. I've said it from day one that I'd love to take on, being in the ring with Triple H at WrestleMania. The other guy I'd like to take on would be the Dead Man at WrestleMania. And that opportunity came up last night, and with the caliber of guys who were in there, Punk, Big Show, and Randy, myself, it was really anyone's game and anyone's guess. And Punk, the ultimate opportunist, which used to be Edge's term, but Punk seems to be doing that quite a lot. He stole that on Randy. It was a great match, but unfortunately, hopefully have to wait another year to see if I can get in there with Taker again.
Is there anything that you are looking forward to for WrestleMania, personally, and just looking at the other matches?
Oh, I mean, everything about WrestleMania is special. I mean, I remember my fondest memories as a kid watching Mania and just having dreams of becoming the WWE superstar. And that's probably cliche because a lot of people say it, but I'll tell you, fella, I was the kid who snuck down coming from Ireland at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch pay-per-views when me dad and ma were asleep upstairs. I'm creeping down these wooden stairs and on the wooden floors. It was actually brutal. It was great when they had carpet, no problem at all. But when they got rid of the carpet and varnished the floors, I'd literally be treading down on tippy toes all the way down so I wouldn't be heard on the day before school. It was the same for every pay-per-view, but WrestleMania was special. And to be involved in WrestleMania with 26 when I was in there with Triple H was just phenomenal for me. It was like, I can't. First of all, I'm like, I can't believe I'm here, and two, I can't believe I'm even getting paid for this. This is unbelievable. And of course, like last year was special with Daniel Bryan, but this year, every year you evolve, every year you get better, and every year you strive to push the boundaries, and that's what's going to happen this year. I think whether it won't be with Taker, it won't be for the World Heavyweight Championship, but I guarantee you, whatever I'm involved in Mania, I'll make it very special.
What was going through your mind? Well, you mentioned a little bit about, you couldn't believe you were there. Can you expand on that a little bit? The first time you were at WrestleMania, like the experience of just being there as opposed to just being at, not just being it, but being at Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, well, every time you go out through the curtain, I get like those goosebumps, and I get that feeling in your stomach, the nerves. I think that never goes away because you're always in a different crowd, and it's special to you, and it means so much. You get nervous. I always get nervous. But for Mania, it was incredible. Like, I remember being at the stadium. I remember being all hyped up. I'd literally be on Raw for maybe 4 months, maybe 5 months. I'd already been WWE champion. I'd done an awful lot very quickly. And then this was another step here, being in there with such a superstar like Triple H. And I just remember, walking down the ramp during the day and looking around and go, wow, this is unbelievable. It's like a huge football stadium, And then I remember walking on the stage going, I was blown away, and I remember my knees for just a second, probably half a second, just got weak. I actually thought I was going to go. I thought I was actually going to go down. I composed myself, and I went down that ramp, and I felt like it took me 5 minutes to get to the ring. That's how long the entranceway was down that Mania. And I remember getting in there and seeing Irish flags and people trying to pick people out, and it was absolutely incredible. And it's something I'll never forget. And to have that feeling once a year is fantastic, and you just want it more and you want it more. And this year won't be any different. Regardless of what it is, I'm excited to be a part of it.
What were some of your favorite Mania moments, growing up or, in the past couple?
I love the Roddy Piper Adrian Adonis match with Jimmy Hart involved, and the way it wasn't a long match, but it was exciting, a fun match. The guys like Jimmy Hart being pulled in by Adrian Adonis, they both them going over the top rope. Roddy Piper being on fire, Bruce the Barber Beefcake coming down and cutting Adonis's hair, him freaking out, and that was, to me, that was a great match. As a kid, I loved it. I also loved Bret and Shawn at WrestleMania 12. I was really torn. I liked both of them, but I was more of a Bret Hart fan at the time, and when he lost, I was gutted. I remember another great match was, well, I don't know about great, but hyped up match was Ultimate Warrior and Hogan. I was never really a Hogan fan, I was an Ultimate Warrior fan, and I just liked Warrior's energy in the ring, and I just remember like hoping that Warrior would beat Hogan. You know, it was such a, those are the type of matches I think when you're torn between two and you're, you know, it's great.
You mentioned Bret Hart. We saw you in a Bret Hart DVD commercial last
Yeah.
night on Raw. Was he? I read somewhere that he was kind of instrumental in getting your career going or motivating you somehow. Or?
He was the first person. It was unbelievable. Like I always wanted to be a WWE superstar. I just know the route to go. And I remember working in a club, Lily's Bordello, where I worked part time just for extra cash. And he came into the club. They had a show in Dublin. I asked him a question about getting a career in WWE, and he was the first. He said, "Sit down." He was there with his daughter. He really sat me down, gave me some great advice.
Can you talk about the level of training between, you know, being a WWE superstar and where you were at that time? Like,
yeah.
What's the difference? What were you doing then? What are you doing now?
Well, the difference was back then I was working 2 or 3 jobs, trying to pay for stuff. And then the weekends, I'd take the weekends off and I'd go and I'd wrestle over in the UK. And the thing is with that is you have to realize that when you've got commitments to a full-time job and you're trying to wrestle, like I moved to England with my company because I wanted to, like in the evening times, I could get a train to shows by 7 and make it there as the show's on, just to get in the ring. Because for that stage, it's all about getting in the ring and being, you know, repetition, competitive work, you know, being performing in front of a crowd. Of course, when I came to WE, you know, I went to the training facility in FCW, which is run by Steve Karen and Dr. Tom Pritchard. Obviously, all you're doing then is training and eating, so that definitely helped. When all you have to do is concentrate on what you're doing right now, it's a hell of a lot easier. And, you know, we are very busy. We do a lot of travel, but our job is to stay in shape, keep ourselves looking good, and obviously put the performance in the ring. And there's a lot of other things we do too, you know, like with all the stuff like the Be a Star program, anti-bullying campaign, the Make-A-Wishes, the appearances that we do and all. I mean, they're all part of it. And it's, to me, I can't think of a better job in the world, fella. I love what I do. The WrestleMania Reading Challenge obviously is to promote reading for kids. We just let them know how important it is to try and encourage them to read books and continue the reading. I think a lot of you know, a lot of that's gone out the window. I mean, I remember being a kid, I was reading a lot of books from anything from Magnificent Seven or the Famous Five and all these sort of kids' books. And I think it's kind of gone out because there's so much like computers and gaming systems and TV. It's kind of seen, reading is kind of seen as a chore. I think the fact the kids aren't reading as much as they should, it limits their imagination. I think the great thing about reading a book is that it opens up your imagination. You have to, when you're reading a book, you have to, you know, imagine the background, the characters and everything, and that really opens up the imagination. I think it's kind of lost, so encourage the kids, read books and open your mind, and it's a great hobby to do, a great pastime, and it's been great.
Who would your fantasy matchup be against, you know, past, present?
Undertaker, absolutely Undertaker. I was gutted from after last night. I'll be honest, I'm gutted. Like, that was the match I wanted. The dead man, he's one of the biggest legends or greatest superstars ever will be in what we do in our business, and to be able to step in the ring with him at WrestleMania, I felt there would be nothing bigger.
If you weren't a WWE superstar, what would you be doing?
God, I have no idea. I did work in IT for about 8 years, and that was a chore. I wasn't the most technical, gifted person in the world, but I was definitely good at talking to people and working with people. But honestly, I don't know. I put so much into what I'm doing. Obviously, I have my education behind me in human resource management, but I don't know. I know that whenever I have an idea to do something, like whatever it is, whatever that dream is, I put my heart and soul into it. And I'm like, you know, if it hadn't worked out, who knows? I have no idea what way I would have gone. It really is something that I'll probably never know.
Cool. And you were talking about rugby and football a little earlier.
Yeah.
So you're a big fan.
Yeah.
Who's your teams?
Football will be Liverpool, and of course for rugby would definitely be Leinster. Rugby's a very big sport in Ireland. It's become even bigger over the last couple of years. I think Gaelic football is big too with Dublin. So I've played in all types of sports, which I think again is great. I see a lot of kids over in America play baseball, American football, and hockey. And I think it's great, you know, to get that all the different types of sports, get them all around, and of course then the kids decide what they want to do. I always wanted to do the WWE. That's all I ever wanted to do. But rugby would have been a second, you know, have a career, and it would have been a fun career.
Do you follow UFC or boxing at all or anything like that?
Not really. I remember watching a lot of boxing with my dad when I was younger. I used to watch a lot of Barry McGuigan fights, who was a boxer from the north of Ireland, and he was great. I used to watch a lot of Tyson fights, and to me, boxing was bigger back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, but we used to watch a lot of fights.
All right, so about a month ago, the IOC voted to remove wrestling as a sport from the 2020 Olympics. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think the people in the committee have completely lost their marbles. I think that is the most bizarre and ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. They're literally removing one of the core sports of the Olympics that's been there since the very beginning, Greco-Roman wrestling, and they're taking it out to put what's in there now, like badminton, table tennis, fly fishing, stamp collecting. They're doing stamp collecting. Is there stamp collecting in the Olympics now? I'll be honest. I think that's lost all credibility with me. I think that should be one of the core sports, and they're taking it out. I think they really need to be just removed from their position on the committee because they have no idea what they're doing.
All right, finally, WrestleMania predictions. Rock, Cena, Punk, Taker, Swagger, Del Rio.
Rock, Cena. Rock got it last year. I don't think he'll do it again. I watched the match again now. Rock's WWE champion. Maybe he's a little bit more cocky than he was last time. Cena's more determined. I think Cena will bring it down to the wire. Cena knows there's a lot more on stake on the line now than there was last year because, you lose once, okay, fool me once, but fool me twice. I think he's going to know it on his heart and soul that if he truly has to be the greatest in WWE, he's going to have to beat The Rock. He loses twice to Rock. I'm sorry, fella, but that really is something you may never come back from, and he knows that. Punk, Taker, without a doubt. Alberto, Swagger, Del Rio. I think Del Rio has Swagger's number. I think he'll win too. So I think that those are my predictions for the matches. Again, it's WrestleMania. Anything can happen. There can be a lot of situations there where things pop up. But I think, in my mind, I think that'll be the prediction there. Cena will beat Rock, Taker will be Punk, and Del Rio will leave World Heavyweight Champion.